Join me as I take on the challenge of mastering English using just 5 amazing storytelling techniques. Mastering English isn't just about memorizing grammar rules or vocabulary lists, it's about connecting with others through stories. When you learn through storytelling, you don't just improve your language skills, you also become a more engaging listener and speaker. Stories have a way of making language come alive, and that's what we're going to explore today. Many learners struggle with English because they lack vocabulary, feel nervous about speaking, or just can't seem to stay engaged with traditional learning methods. I was once in those shoes, feeling frustrated and unsure of how to improve. It seemed like no matter how many words I memorized, I still couldn't hold conversations. And if I'm being honest, it was tough to stay motivated when progress felt so slow. Another challenge is finding content that's both interesting and at the right level. Often, materials are either too easy or too hard, leaving learners feeling bored or overwhelmed. And then there's the issue of practice. It's one thing to understand grammar, but it's another to actually use it in a conversation. So, how do we overcome these hurdles and make real progress in English? These challenges are common, but they don't have to hold you back. By incorporating storytelling into your learning routine, you can tackle vocabulary, confidence, and engagement all at once. So, what are these techniques that can make such a difference? The 5 amazing storytelling techniques that can help you master English are: using visual language to paint pictures in your mind, creating relatable characters that make stories memorable, playing with emotions to add depth, incorporating dialogue to practice real-life conversations, and using suspense to keep listeners engaged. Let's dive into each of these techniques. Using visual language is all about describing scenes and actions in a way that your listeners can see. For example, instead of just saying, "I went to the park," you could say, "As I walked through the gates, the smell of freshly cut grass hit me, and I saw children playing tag on the green." This technique helps you learn descriptive vocabulary while painting a vivid picture. Creating relatable characters makes stories more memorable and engaging. Think about it: when you hear a story about someone you can relate to, you're more likely to remember it. So, try to create characters in your stories that your listeners can identify with. This technique not only improves your vocabulary but also helps you understand different perspectives. Playing with emotions adds depth to your stories and makes them more impactful. When you describe how a character feels, you're practicing emotional vocabulary and empathy. For instance, you might say, "As she walked away, she felt a pang of sadness, but also a sense of determination." This technique helps you connect with your listeners on a deeper level. Incorporating dialogue is a powerful way to practice real-life conversations. When you include conversations in your stories, you're learning how people actually communicate with contractions, idioms, and all the messy bits of real language. For example, you might write, "I'm so excited for the weekend," she exclaimed. "Me too," I replied. "What are your plans?" This technique gets you comfortable with the flow of conversation. Out of these 5 techniques, I believe incorporating dialogue has the most significant impact on language mastery. It's one thing to understand grammar rules, but it's another to hear them in action. When you practice with dialogue, you're getting a feel for how conversations actually flow. So, let's recap. The 5 techniques are: visual language, relatable characters, playing with emotions, incorporating dialogue, and using suspense. Each one targets a different aspect of language learning, from vocabulary to conversation skills. I encourage you to try them out and see which ones work best for you. If you've had any experiences with storytelling and language learning, share them in the comments below. I'd love to hear about them. And if you want to dive deeper into one of these techniques, check out our next video where we explore visual language in more detail.